Coming up on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, we go over some spring takes going into football and what you need to pay attention to. Also, Derek Vandygriff comes by and talks about the Ole Miss Baseball weekend. Stay tuned for that. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, so tune in, do what you have to do. We're also on YouTube, so do us a favor, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications and new videos, and of course, upvote the video. We'd appreciate it greatly. But thanks for tuning in today. We wanted to get ready because spring is about a month away at this point. And wanted to talk a little bit about the storylines going into spring football because at this point, everybody wants to know about spring football. This is the most interesting spring football that Ole Miss has had probably since, 2004 when Michael Spurlock replaced Eli. There's so many questions about that need to be worked out that this has a chance to be an effectively very special year. And if you pay attention to what's going on, we're not a news organization. We're a commentary organization, and we provide perspectives of different people. Like yesterday, we had Bill Flowers on talking about everything's going on. He's a guy that if NIL was around whenever he was playing ball, he would have been handled handsomely. So I kind of hate that he missed the boat there, but he's genuinely a nice guy, and he's also nice enough to share his time with us. So going into this spring practice, I think we're going to start with the quarterback competition because, like I said, I compared it to 2004 with the Michael Spurlock buzz and everything going up. This quarterback controversy will probably have more eyeballs than any in recent memory. I mean, not even Bo Wallace stepping in after the 2011 debacle. Not even Chad Kelly coming up with the faux quarterback competition. I think this is honestly you hear all the great stuff about Michael Spurlock and, in that case, it didn't pan out. But the Luke Altmaier Jackson Dart competition is going to have the most eyeballs on it in spring. Now, the catch of the situation is nobody's going to really know what happens. As you've seen for the last 3 years, nobody has insider information. Whenever a move happens, it gets broken from a national perspective first. And that is simply because I don't think Lane Kiffin trusts a local media. I think he blames them a little bit for what happened at USC. I think he blames them a little bit for what happened at Alabama. And because of that, he kind of functions on the national level, which he's able to do that. He gets clicks. His name's in any storyline will get more clicks than if you just removed a storyline and put it out there. It's the strangest thing. But the quarterback competition will be really one to watch. I mean, Jackson Dart has gone out to Texas with Michael Trigg to work. I think some preliminary Michael Trigg, Jackson Dart chemistry sessions, they've really paid off. Now, this is important to know in this quarterback competition. Luke Altmaier can win the job. He can. But Luke Altmaier must outright win the job. Any tie, any semblance of a tie, it's going to go to Jackson Dart. It's just the nature of the beast when dealing with a transfer of this much level. There's promises that probably have been made. Now realize that this team, one of the 3 tenets of this team is competition. So they want to keep Luke Altmaier and Jackson Dart happy to where they can push each other for as long as humanly possible. It may last until the end of spring. It may last until the end of the season. But I don't think the loser of this job will remain at the school much after that. And I think whoever wins this job right now, I think it's going to be Jackson Dart. That's just what it is. I like Luke Altmaier. I think he had a fantastic Sugar Bowl and everything like that. But I think, like I said, a tie goes to Jackson Dart in this situation. And moving into the chemistry session and things that got built up and quarterbacks that are going to head out, I don't know if Luke Altmaier will last after the season. But the difference is you go and you get a recruit quarterback, because whoever is the starter this year has another year. The plan is 3 years, by the way. I know you have 5 to play 4, but they recruit on 3 years. They do the same stuff in player acquisition that they do in coach acquisition. And that is make the shortness of tenure a selling point. You can come to Ole Miss, win some games as a player coach, build your brand, and then go somewhere else. Player, go to the NFL. Coach, go to another school. And you might be making $300,000 when you get to Ole Miss. By the time you leave Ole Miss, you might be a millionaire. Only for a couple years' work. It's actually a smart move. And it's also, if you look at our coaching staff, it's working. That's the important thing. Look at the high level of coaches we brought in. I tell people all the time that I don't even care if the whole staff turns over. Just don't. Because I trust this man to make a hire. There's proof there that he can make the hire. But I think this Jackson Dart, Luke Altmaier competition will be the competition to pay attention to. So that'll be the question of the day, okay? Down here in the comment section below. Who will win the quarterback job before the first game? I know nobody's going to win it in spring. But who do you project right now, and who do you predict will win the quarterback job? With the, like I said, tie goes to Jackson Dart, because that's just the way it's going to work with a 5-star coming in. So that will be the question of the day. So you can put it down in the comment section below, or you can tweet me at the Stephen Willis. You can see that as well. Yeah, see that as well. So that is one main storyline of this weekend. When we come back, we will hit another one that maybe you're not thinking about that will be actually critical to the development of this team. Absolutely critical. Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all of your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC odds, right to the, well, the Olympics just ended. But if they were still going, you could pick them up as well. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor and hit subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications of new videos when they are posted. And, of course, hit the upvote button. If you can handle those 3 things, you'll be in really good shape because, as you can see, our YouTube numbers are going up, up, and up. I think we're closing in on 500 total subscribers at the moment. And in under 2 months, that'll be an incredibly impressive feat. We're trying to get to 1,000 before the football season starts. We're well on our way to getting there. So that is pretty cool. And a lot of that, I understand, is because of the Michael Trigg, Jackson Dart thing a couple of weeks. Got a ton of subscribers when that was going down. I understand that. So we need to work on it. We need to do that. And we going to do a lot of commentary on spring practice and what we know. Because we're talking about like the main storyline in spring will be the Jackson Dart, Luke Altmaier competition. No winner is going to be named in spring. But spring is important for that conversation. It's important for you to pay attention to that conversation so you're not taken off guard as it goes on. Now, the second take of spring practice, and we're going to probably do this for most of the week, spring takes, is Michael Trigg and Hudson Wolfe. Now, if Hudson Wolfe can get healthy, because that was his main issue last year, was getting healthy. If Hudson Wolfe can get healthy and compete with Michael Trigg, our room has a chance to be fairly special. I think you have a chance to see some like 12 personnel groupings, 2 tight end sets with Wolfe and Michael Trigg, and they'll be used in special ways. It'll open up the toolbox for the quarterback. And we've already seen, as this offseason goes around, is Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg going to but essentially the camp circuit and the performance center circuit leading into spring practice. Spring practice is going to be huge for Michael Trigg. He has a chance to do something that's fairly special. The way I like to describe Michael Trigg is he's Evan Ingram, but a little bigger. So he might not be as fast, but that's how he's going to play the position. He's somewhere by the time he leaves Ole Miss, he could be 255, 260 pounds, running like a deer with excellent hands. This is a tight end that we haven't had many like. And at Ole Miss, we're essentially tight end U for a while with Wesley Walls and Chris Mangum and Rufus French and Evan Ingram and I can't remember his name. What was his name? Anyway, we've had a ton of tight ends. Names, I have trouble with names since the brain surgery. It's the most weird things. The human body is absolutely weird. But it's just, I used to be a steel lockbox when it comes to names, and now I can't hardly remember them. So that if I mess anything up, that's why, and I apologize. So I'm looking forward to that matchup because Michael Trigg and Hudson Wolfe, even though they bring two different things to the same position, I think that's why I'm interested in what they do. The main thing I'm looking for is for Hudson Wolfe to be healthy because Michael Trigg's going to do what Michael Trigg does. And if he does what he does, he's probably going to win the job. But Hudson Wolfe is already a big body guy. He's like 6'6", 260. He's a guy that could be O.J. Howard-like impact at the tight end position. Great hands. There's a high school video of him and his highlights completely laying out and catching the ball, which in high school football is unbelievably impressive, especially for a tight end. But if he is healthy and can push Michael Trigg, that is one step away from having the middle of the field solidified. The other side of this will be the competition at the slot receiver with Jalen Knox and I think Jordan Watkins and J.J. Henry. It's going to be three players basically for two spots. Jalen Knox is probably going to win, but you want some competition there. You want them to come out there and show. You need J.J. Henry to develop from year 1 to year 2. He's obviously a speed demon. He's a Jalen Waddle type slot. You want to see him develop from year 1 to year 2. If he does, a combination of him and Jalen Knox provide a different look for the defense in much the same way that Michael Trigg and Hudson Wolfe would provide different looks for the defense. And it would allow you to attack the middle of the field different ways. It's kind of a dream for an offense that, as I say often, tortures linebackers. The whole purpose of this offense is to torture linebackers. They can't be right. And you can make the wrong read, but if you do the right thing, the right linebackers will never be right. And like everything else, you can stop our offense by defensive line pressure. That's really the only way. You can't really scheme it on the back end to do the right thing. You can't really do anything like that. You need direct pressure like you saw in the Sugar Bowl. Baylor did some of the same stuff that Alabama did early this year. They handled actually Texas A&M pretty well. But that's the key to this offense, is the middle of the field, the tight ends and the slot receivers, and how they affect linebackers. Because if you add into that the triangle, because it is like a triangle, you got tight end, slot receiver, running back. And it's a triangle of where they have to pick and what they have to do to defend. If they come in too hard for the run, which we have an Adrian Peterson type back, that's going to be a storyline that we talk tomorrow. If they charge the run up too much, the back for the linebackers are going to be wide open to the tight end or the slot receiver. Slot receiver like what you saw with Evan Ingram and Kenny Yeboah. In the middle of the field last year was a little bit lacking besides Dontario Drummond. And that made the offense a little bit less effective. So that will be interesting. And I really like the idea of the running back and the effort that the delay coming forward for the run fits could actually be suicidal for defense. It's absolutely amazing, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And those will probably be the top stories of the offense going into spring practice, We'll talk about the defense tomorrow. Remember, the question of the day is, who do you predict will win the quarterback job on opening day 2022? Whenever we play Troy, leave the answer in the comments section below. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why often endure pointless and seemingly intimidating questioning is your Odyssey, an LX, or an EX, and wait for the person behind the counter to order parts on their computer, choosing only the brand that their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So if you use it, you'll save time and money doing this, and you don't have to go through all of that questioning. It's a family business at Rock Auto, serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and the prices are reliable and low for every customer. So go and explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car and truck. Write Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices. All the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Coming up, Derek Vandygriff talking about the baseball weekend. Stick around. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So do us a favor, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications of new videos, and of course, hit upvote on the video you're watching. I am joined right now with Derek Vandygriff. He is the expert on all things Ole Miss baseball, and he's going to tell us what we saw a couple of days ago last weekend. How you doing, Derek?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite well. Full disclosure to everybody, we're recording this on Sunday night. It won't air until Tuesday. So it's a little bit fresh for us. So that if you remember some stuff after the fact, put it in the comments below. Give us a reminder of what's going on, and we'll see if there's anything we can do. And it looks like his phone tipped over. Is everything okay, Derek?
Yeah, we're good now.
So what did you notice this weekend with a inaugural opening weekend series for the game? What did you notice from the Rebels?
It looked like Mike Bianco came into this weekend with one thing on his mind. That was getting these new young pitchers in the game as often as he could. He wanted to see as many of these young arms as he could get in the game. And thankfully, with all the runs we scored, he was able to see all he wanted.
Yeah, and of those young arms, who stands out for you?
Mason Nichols looked really good on Friday night. He come in through a scoreless ninth, 10 strikes on 15 pitches. That's what you want to see out of a young player, come in and fill up the strike zone. Mitch Morrell did the same thing. He had 2 innings and 4 strikeouts. Mid-90s fastball looked really good. I really like what I saw out of Washburn coming in for Diamond on Friday night, too. Looked like you want to get him an inning, kind of get him used to it for what I assume will be his first start coming up Tuesday night against Arkansas State.
Yeah, and after judging today, today was a weird day, and Ole Miss actually trailed in the first inning thanks to a solo shot given up by Drew McDaniel. But he kind of was a little nervy at the first and second inning and kind of worked his way in and got better as he got going. Do you think he is kind of looking over his shoulder at Jack Washburn a little bit?
If he's not, he probably needs to be. Washburn looked pretty good in that one inning. He had the mid-90s fastball and the big breaking ball. I mean, that thing's as good as advertised from everything we read leading into the year. McDaniel definitely needs to sharpen up a little bit. I think he only threw 33 strikes and 60 pitches today. So he's going to have to be a little bit better to hold off Washburn, I think.
Yeah, and that Charleston Southern guy that put him out of the yard just completely yanked a pitch. He just pulverized that. The bats. Now, I told people all week whenever they were listening to the post-game pod, if the bats are a little bit light in February, they warm up the same time about the weather does. So don't get, one way or another. But they were able to put 9 runs, 11 runs, and, 12 today.
Well,
so I think that's, 33 runs over the weekend? Yeah. Anyway. And as the weekend moved on, Tim Elko had 2 bombs. Kevin Graham went yard. Ken Alderman got a home run.
Yeah.
What did you notice from the bats and how this team might look as it starts to coalesce?
Well, we ended up getting hit 8 times by pitchers throughout the weekend. You can't really count on that. But we were very selective in what we did swing at. We ended up walking a ton this week. They can really put the ball wherever they want to. You saw T.J. McCants blue point into the opposite field on Saturday, and you saw that a lot throughout the weekend with our guys. And, boy, Kemp Alderman, as hard as he hits the ball. I was looking today, he had a 114-mile-an-hour exit velocity, and then I looked it up, and it wasn't even on his home run. That was on the double that about took the second baseman's head off, He can just really get on it.
That's one of the hardest balls I've seen hit, I think, period. Yeah. I mean, that was just it was like it came out of a pitching machine. That's the way it looked.
Yeah, and then kind of like you said with Leatherwood coming up with the home run on Saturday, he almost had a second one there, Another feet, and he would have had 2 of them. A bat like that's probably not going to be a regular, so to speak, but you'll see him several times a week and getting a lot of at-bats, and it can be really helpful to us.
All right, so what is the main takeaway besides getting young pitchers work that we need to take from the first week, getting ready for the Virginia Commonwealth Series this weekend?
Well, Gaddis looked pretty good on Saturday. I think that's one of the biggest arms for us leading into this year. We need him to be able to pitch well. He was low 90s, settled 88, 89, 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 Ks. You saw 2 walks, which I think is kind of under, or not really what he does, but he works fast, gets ground balls, and we need innings out of him going forward.
Okay. Looking at Arkansas State tonight as this airs, what are you looking for in this game?
Arkansas State shouldn't really be much of a test for us, really. They were 19-30 last year. They just got swept by Sanford to open the year this year. They got a pretty good third baseman, Ben Klutz. He hit .320 last year, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs, pretty solid defender. But on a Tuesday night, we should be able to go ahead and wrap this one up pretty quick, I would think.
Yeah, and as I told people all weekend on the post-game pod, is like it doesn't necessarily matter if Ole Miss wins all of these games. If Ole Miss goes 2-1 this weekend, it doesn't really matter. But if you're playing for a national seed, these games start to matter. You need to win these non-conference games because every time you lose it, your margin of error gets just a little bit smaller.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to make or break you, but when you're looking to what we're trying to do this year, like usually the magic number for hosting in the non-con is you want 20 wins. You want to win 20 of them. And then to get to that national seed, that's when you need to get up 21, 22, 23 of the non-conference games. So it's not something that's going to make or break you, but when you want to be in Oxford until you get to Omaha, you need to get these games.
Yep. Yeah, and you ask any Ole Miss fan right now, it's about getting to Omaha this year. That it's almost at the point where a super regional, as good as it would be, might be a disappointment because they just want Omaha at this point. Yeah,
and especially this year, we're so loaded offensively. We're probably never going to see a lineup like this again in a single year in Oxford. And you just got to trust that Bianco does what he always does. He always develops pitching. He's got all these young arms. A lot of them's been in here 1 and 2 years, and they should be able to pitch enough to keep them to get us some wins here.
Yeah, and real quick before I let you out, I think Riley Maddox from Prep. How do you look in your eyes?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he threw it pretty well. He ended up going or had his maxed out at 95. His breaking ball was incredible. I was actually at that game Saturday. I went and watched that one and threw 17 strikes on 19 pitches, 3 strikeouts. I mean, that's what you need out of a young guy coming in. I think he was listed as the number 16 impact freshman arm in the country this year coming in. So we really need him.
Yeah, he looked really good. He just got up there, just let's go, let's do it. And that was kind of refreshing to see. And let's see, we've talked about the Arkansas State game, Virginia Commonwealth. Next week, Virginia Commonwealth. What do you think will be the next step of what they want to see? I know they're trying to figure out what this team looks like before SEC play, which is about, 3 weeks away, I guess, at this point. So what do you think they're going to look for this weekend?
Well, this should be a lot bigger challenge for our pitching staff going into this one. They've got a kid that ended up winning the A10 Player of the Year as well as the Rookie of the Year last year in the conference. And he's a first-team preseason All-American coming into this one. He can do a little bit of everything. Hits for average power. He can run. He's a good defender. And then they've got a shortstop. He only hit .239 last year, but he had a .460 slug, 7 home runs. Biggest thing with him, we need to try to press him on defense. Made 24 errors last year. So we need to try to make him make a play on us.
Okay. And switching back and forth, because I'm just a little bit all over the place. Whenever questions pop in my head, I'm asking them. Batting order this weekend. You saw Chatagnier leading off twice. You saw Justin Bench getting a shot once. Which lineup did you favor?
I like it better with Bench leading off and Chatagnier a little bit lower in the lineup. To me, I want my best hitters to be able to get the most at bats. So get Chatagnier a little bit lower in the lineup. Not that he's not a good hitter, but you can have him kind of set the table at the bottom of the order for your big boppers coming back up as you roll the lineup back over. It really only affects you once at the start of the game. After that, you're going 1 through 9 anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll actually see people that like put Elko at the leadoff spot. It's like, no. You got to have people for them to knock in that you can count on. So maybe if they're your best hitter, you put them at 2, 3, or 4, and you just put somebody at good front. Okay, I was just curious about that. And Jacob Gonzalez had a relatively quiet weekend, and then you look up and he's hitting .364.
Yeah, he's pretty good, isn't he? You look around and think, he had 2 errors on Friday night, and he's not really driving the ball out of the park. And then after the 3 games are over, you look up and, like I said, he's hit .364 and ended up having a pretty good weekend for us overall.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Tune in tomorrow for a little bit of spring training hot takes that we're going to talk about. Now, make the second listen the Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Derek Vandygriff talking about Ole Miss Baseball. Thank you, Derek. We'll bring you back next week, and we'll break down the Virginia Commonwealth Series and get ready for the Golden Knights.
Sounds good. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.